This is the Omega Aqua Terra black lacquer dial in 41 millimeters. The redesign of the dial and the bracelet definitely was necessary for the Aqua Terra. It had that teak pattern on the dial, it had those flat links, and I am not really that big of a fan of that look. This watch reminds me of the Shades collection, only in 41 millimeters, and it comes with that black lacquer dial. It's a very simple look, it's a very clean look, and it was just the missing link that Omega needed in their sports watches. But first, let me thank my friends over at Martin Binder for letting me borrow the Aqua Terra for a week. I really do appreciate it, and if you haven't done so already, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. It really does help the channel. Now let's flip that camera and get into the specs. We have a case diameter of 41 millimeters, a lug to lug of 48 millimeters, a lug width of 20 millimeters, a case thickness of 13.4 millimeters. On the full bracelet, it weighs in at 148 grams, has a water resistance of 150 meters, a domed sapphire crystal with AR coating on the top and on the underside. The movement used on the inside is the caliber 8900. It comes with 60 hours of power reserve, beats at 3.5 hertz, is magnetic resistant to 15,000 Gauss. And the MSRP of this watch is $7,000. Now, like I said before, while that dial is very simplistic and clean looking, the dial here comes in a very dark black color, but it also has a bit of warmth because that lacquer does have a very nice high polish to it. So taking a closer look at the dial, above the handstack we have an applied Omega logo with Seamaster printed underneath that in crisp white. And printed below the handstack we have coaxial and master chronometer. At the 6 o'clock position, we have a border date window with a color matched date wheel. And at the rest of the hour markers, we have sharp triangular indices. Just beyond the indices, we have a printed minute track. The hands being used is that classic Aqua Terra set with that signature broad arrow minute hand. The hands and indices are filled with superluminova, and while they're not applied in the thickest fashion, I think it gets the job done, especially for a sports watch. Covering the dial is a slightly domed piece of sapphire crystal with AR coating on the top and on the bottom, and I don't really have an issue with the AR coating being on the top. I know some people really don't like it. They say it's going to scratch or has the possibility of scratching, but I don't live my life through a macro lens. I don't live my life through a loop. I can't tell on my Seamaster, and I've been wearing that thing anywhere and everywhere for years now, so I wouldn't really worry about scratching the AR coating on top of the crystal. Moving on over to the case, everything comes in a high polish. The traditional lyre lugs are here. We have a 3 o'clock signed screw down crown, and flipping the watch over to the back, we have an exhibition case back with a flat piece of sapphire to show off that 8900 movement. And not to mention the performance on these movements are great. Now, with my Seamaster, it comes with the 8800 movement. That is a single barrel. This one comes with a dual barrel, which gives you an extra 5 hours of power reserve, but it's more for equal power distribution as the movement starts to wind down. But the performance on mine is great. It comes in around plus 2 seconds per day if I wear the watch. If I leave it in my watch box, it's around plus 5 seconds a day, which is what I expect from Omega, and they delivered, so no complaints there. Moving down to the tapering bracelet, the outer links are in a fine brush and the center links are in a high polish. We have screwed links and a butterfly clasp here that does have 2 millimeters of micro adjustment. So let me go through the pros and cons of this watch before I give you guys my final thoughts, and we'll start off with the cons, with the first con being that clasp. Now, it's not that the clasp doesn't work. It actually works really well. When you open up the clasp, there are these dual pushers that you can use to extend the bracelet up to 2 millimeters. Now, it's not that it doesn't extend well or it malfunction in any sort of way, but I didn't like the way it looked when the clasp was closed. There is this little gap there of 2 millimeters, and to me, it's more of an eyesore, and it's not really worth the extra functionality. And it's weird because they put all this effort in redesigning the bracelet, and when it came to the clasp, it almost seemed like they just had to put a micro adjust in there. I would have gone with a completely different clasp, honestly, just a standard fold over clasp. They could have designed something that looks nice and also functions better than what's here. So while I like the look of the bracelet, I really don't like the look of the clasp here. My next con is going to be the crown. It was just a little bit difficult to turn, a little bit difficult to operate. I'm not sure if it was just the overall shape of the crown. Maybe my hands are too big, but it just doesn't have the same ergonomics as my 300 Professional. And speaking of the Seamaster Professional, I don't understand the pricing here. This comes in at $7,000, whereas my Seamaster on the bracelet comes in at $6,200, even though it is a more recognizable better functioning piece. So I know this has 150 meters of water resistance and it's more of a sports watch, but I don't understand why the diver that it has more function, that is more recognizable, also is cheaper. Like that's Omega's entry-level watch to the brand, where I would think that this watch should be the entry-level sports watch to Omega. Like I don't understand why this is priced higher, even though it doesn't function as well or it's not as recognizable. I just really have never understood the pricing when it came to the Aqua Terra. Doesn't make sense then, doesn't make sense now, but there you go. And my last con is going to involve the movement. I know I praised it earlier, but this comes with a jumping hour hand. And I can see if you travel a lot or if this is going to be your daily watch and you're never going to take it off, I can see how it can be useful. But for me, I really don't wear the same watch every single day. So when I do put this watch on, I have to wind it and then I have to set the time and the date. It's probably not that big of a deal. I mean, for me, it's kind of a big deal, but for you, it's probably nothing burger. So I wouldn't really worry about it too much. But that's enough of the cons. Let's move on over to the pros, with the first pro being the overall clean look of this watch. I think it's a very timeless looking watch that has a very good and distinct design language. The Aqua Terra hands and indices, the lyre lugs, that black lacquer dial, I think it all just works well together. And not to mention, this looks absolutely gorgeous on my wrist. I think it's the perfect case size of 41 millimeters. It's not too overwhelming. It's not too overbearing. I think it looks phenomenal. And not only does this watch look great on the wrist, I can see this watch replacing an entire collection and just being your one watch collection. It does have that potential, and I think Omega did a great job with the design here. And not only does it look great, but Omega has top tier watchmaking here. Everything feels of quality. The movement operates properly. The bracelet, yeah, it has a little bit of gap in the clasp, but it feels very luxurious on the wrist. There are no flaws in the dial, no flaws in the indices. Everything looks right and it feels like a luxury product. It doesn't feel like they're cheaping out anywhere here, especially when it comes to that dial. I really can't say this enough, but you have to see that dial in person. It just has so much depth, and even though it is a simple black dial, there is something about it. I really like the way that dial looks. It just has that Omega DNA through and through, and you're not going to be disappointed when you set your eyes on it. And while I might not like the clasp, the bracelet itself looks great. I think it looks phenomenal. I didn't like the flat link bracelet on the previous Aqua Terras, but here in this redesigned bracelet, I think they knocked it out of the park. And yeah, while I said that changing the date was a little bit tedious, it kind of makes sense here, especially if you are a traveler. So I see why it can be useful in some instances. So there it is, the new 41 millimeter black lacquer Aqua Terra. This watch honestly has the potential to be your one watch collection. It has everything that you need. It's dressy enough, it's sporty enough, it's water resistant enough, the movement keeps great time, and the color scheme is going to pretty much match with anything you have in your wardrobe. I really think you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't go to your local AD and try this watch on. It really does have the potential to replace everything in your watch box. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of the Aqua Terra or the Aqua Terra line or the Seamaster line. Fill me in on why this costs more than a professional. Just someone tell me, please. Thank you to my friends over at Martin Binder for letting me borrow this watch. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link down in my description box to their website. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the like and subscribe buttons as well. It really does help the channel. And if you're still here, go ahead and watch my Seamaster review right here. I reviewed that as well. Dateless Seamaster right there. Click it. Go. Click it. Now. Go. Now. Go. I've noticed that me and Russell have the same outro. Mad Watch Collector. Same outro. What are you going to do?